A few years ago, I moved from a detached home into a 500 square foot apartment with my husband. I wanted to be a good roommate, so for the very first time, I downsized my closets. This is the part that I am not proud of, but while purging my 3 full-size wardrobes, I discovered that I was the owner of over 100 pairs of shoes. Yeah, I know. It would be this moment, and many moments that would come after, that would cause me to reflect on my blind consumer habits, the impact of consumerism, and the kind of planet we could be leaving for future generations. This awareness would also lead me to find purpose in my role as a fashion stylist. So, how did I end up with over 100 pairs of shoes? Well, it started at a very young age. While playing with dolls or playing dress up in my mom's closet, I found myself admiring clothing for its power of transformation. As soon as I could work, I wanted to be in retail. I wanted to be close to clothes. And it was in retail that I learned to express my creativity through clothing and uncover the art of styling. I also learned 3 valuable things about myself. I was good at dressing people, observing trends, and shopping. These skills I would come to develop over time in different jobs, from salesperson to fashion blogger, and now fashion stylist. So, because of this love affair with retail, part of me could rationalize the amount of clothing I owned, all the sweaters, the skirts, and the shoes. But another part of me felt a deep sense of unease when, purging my closets, I saw the volume I was assigning to my keep, consign, and donate piles. Through learning to purge my closets thoughtfully, I learned how to edit wardrobes, and it connected me with like-minded individuals. And these individuals opened me to a different perspective in the fashion community. People and brands elevating minimalism, thrifting, shopping local, valuing traceable, sustainable, ethical manufacturing. These new relationships also caused me to dig deeper into the truth of my overconsumption. The conversation of clothing and its impact on people and the planet is huge. I'm barely going to scratch the surface of it today, but we're all a Google search away from knowing more. So what did I learn? Well, I learned that while we get dressed every single day, the apparel industry continues to be the 2nd largest industrial polluter, second only to oil. Let's start with a garment that we all know and love. And I'd actually love to see a show of hands. How many of you are wearing jeans right now? Oh my gosh, yeah, okay, so more than half. And of course, I love jeans too. So imagine my shock and my dismay when I learned that denim is one of the dirtiest garments to produce. Why? Because of the amount of water it uses. It can take up to 10,000 liters of water, all to produce 1 pair of denim pants. From cotton fields to store shelves, it can take up to 10,000 liters of water. And there's toxic wastewater to consider, filled with dyes and carcinogens, that in some factories is left untreated and pumped back into the rivers and the ocean. We love jeans. We really do. In 2016, over 1 billion pairs of jeans were sold worldwide. On average, we own 6 to 7 pairs. So where are these jeans or our clothes going once we fall out of love with them? Pull on your t-shirt or your underwear or your favorite black pants, and you're gonna feel some stretch. That is in thanks to a synthetic man-made fiber introduced in 1959 called spandex. It's estimated that spandex can take up to 200 years to fully biodegrade. Something our great-great-grandchildren can confirm for sure in 2159. We now live in an age where products go from concept to sale in a matter of weeks. This time frame isn't just costing us the health of the environment, it's also coming at a cost of human life. Livia Firth, founder of EcoAge and the producer of the documentary The True Cost, wrote in May 2016 that despite 1,334 garment workers dying in a Bangladesh factory collapse, big, recognizable brands continue to manufacture in unsafe working conditions. She states that these buildings don't support the masses employed, and the working conditions themselves are in violation of the UN Sustainable Developmental Growth Goals and of the human rights of every single worker. Now, I know that's heavy stuff, and it's a lot to take in. But these findings are just a few of the findings that continue to push me to move from being an overconsumer to a conscious consumer. And these aha moments, which by the way, they don't stop, you keep having them, it was through these aha moments that I started sharing my conscious consumer behavior on social media, as one does these days. And it was through the positive responses I received online that I began to form my ideas around the solution. Our collective consumer dollar has the power to shift an industry from mindless to mindful. And I have a role in this, a responsibility for how my choices affect the world. I also learned that I'm also an advocate for feeling good in our clothes, and that this is a catalyst for change. So I have to ask, how do you feel in your clothes? Do you think about how what you're wearing affects how you feel? Because feeling how our clothes make us feel is powerful stuff. I've observed it in myself and in others, from fitting rooms to photo sets to walking into a boardroom. I've seen how clothing can affect the way someone talks, the way they carry themselves, even have a tangible effect on how they perform. Surprisingly, I found research that backs this up. It's a phenomenon scientists have labeled enclothed cognition. Researchers had subjects perform tasks while wearing a very simple garment, a medical lab coat. Subjects wearing a doctor's coat showed an increased sustained attention versus subjects who wore a painter's coat or no coat at all. So if this is proof that what we wear has an effect on how we function and feel, are we choosing powerfully? Like, what would you choose to put on if you knew you had to walk into a room or a stage and feel like you could own it? For me, it's choosing garments that I am connected to in feelings of confidence, individuality, comfort, and security. Now, choosing with feelings isn't a new concept. Ask your grandparents, and they're going to tell you it's called common sense. So, in this fast fashion world, how am I choosing consciously? Well, first off, I'm slowing down, and I'm taking time to ask myself and others more questions. I'm thinking about my wants versus needs. And if I really need something, why? And I ask where, who is making the stuff that I want. I think about, am I going to purchase it locally? Am I going to purchase it from secondhand? Could I even possibly borrow this from a friend? And if I am purchasing brand new, I'm asking a lot more of the makers. And I know clicking around a brand's website isn't always clear. So let them know you care. Email them, at them on social media. Have your voice heard. And now if I'm looking at my wants, then it's a little bit different question. Then I look at my clothes and I wonder, am I wanting something because I'm bored? So I look at my clothes and I push myself to try something different, pair something a little bit differently. And while I'm there, let's look at longevity. What could I be doing differently to make my clothes last a bit longer? Am I caring for them? Am I mending? Which, by the way, is a very easy skill, and you don't need to look far to acquire them. And then there's considerations for the clothes that we fall out of love with. Be thoughtful in where we donate. Look at shelters or charity shops that support our local communities. And finally, if I still end up in a fitting room, I'm asking myself, how do I feel before how do I look? So what's the impact in all of this? Well, where and how we spend our money is the power we have to change the clothing industry. By tuning into how we feel, we choose less out of habit and more with intent. Our collective spending is a domino effect for change. So now that we know how to choose consciously, when are we going to change? What would the people of tomorrow want us to do? It was this time last year that I met the future. My niece and the very first great-grandchild in my husband's family. She was barely 24 hours old when I held her for the first time. And it was her weight in my arms that I felt the weight of my choices and how they would come to affect her generation and the kind of world they'll inherit. Getting dressed every single day is one of the simplest tasks we perform. We have the opportunity to choose more mindfully. And together, we can shift an industry to function and thrive more mindfully. We have the power for change. Change we can choose to see in this lifetime and for generations to come. Thank you.